Thank you for that, and thank you for inviting me here today. It's a little bit of a change of tack now, after hearing about wonderful cider, to talking about food poverty and food waste. We work to fight food poverty by tackling food waste. And I just wanted to start by considering the mismatch between those two issues, just to kind of set the scene a little bit. And I'm sure nobody can have failed to have seen the media interest over the last couple of years for both of these issues, both food poverty with the headlines of Breadline Britain and the media interested also in the food waste coming out of the food industry. Back in December 2012, there was a bit of a stir after a report by IMechE called Global Food Waste Not, Want Not, which reported that between 30 and 50% of all the food that is produced on the planet is lost before it even reaches a human stomach. In the UK, it's estimated that there's about 3.9 million tonnes of food wasted each year, and in Wales we estimate that it's over 400,000 tonnes a year. Now, if only 1% of that 400,000 tonnes was edible, that would be enough to contribute to around 8 million meals. In sharp contrast, there's around 13 million people in the UK that are in poverty. In Wales, there's about 690,000 that are in low-income households, and over 5,000 that were declared homeless over the last couple of years. And we estimate there's about 200,000 people in food poverty in Wales. And you can see there, the last two figures on those columns, the contrast between the two and the mismatch between those two, 400,000 tonnes of food wasted, and yet there's around over 200,000 people going hungry in Wales. So what do we do and how do we sort of tackle these issues? We're FareShare Cymru, we're based in South Wales, and we're an independent organisation, but we're part of a network of national FareShares throughout England, Wales, Scotland and Northern Ireland. There's around 18 regional centres at the moment serving 135 towns and cities. There's 2 in Wales, there's ourselves in South Wales, we're based just outside Cardiff, and the other one is in Llandudno Junction, run by Caress Cooperative. The network altogether has over 20 years' experience. It started as a project out of the Crisis charity back in 1994 and became an independent organisation in 2004. We ourselves started in July 2011, so we've been going for just over 3 years. So we're based just outside Cardiff. We're a really small team. There's only 3 members of staff, and the rest are a fabulous team of volunteers that we couldn't do what we do without them. So what do we do? What we do is essentially very simple. We're a redistribution centre that utilises quality surplus food from the food industry and delivers it to local charities and community organisations that feed people in need. We act as a kind of wholesaler to the third sector and provide a solution to the food industry because they've only got to deal with us rather than lots of different organisations going to them. And by ensuring that no good food goes to waste, we turn an environmental problem into a solution by helping to feed thousands of people every day. So if you start at the top and work your way down the arrow, we take edible surplus food that would otherwise be wasted because it hasn't got a commercial outlet any longer. All the food's safe and it's all in date. The food comes from a whole range of different places. It comes from the whole of the food supply chain. Majority of it hasn't even got to a supermarket before we have it. So it comes from producers, it comes from wholesalers, manufacturers and retailers. And it's surplus to requirement for a whole host of different reasons. That might be perhaps overproduction, perhaps there's been an ordering error, there might be some damaged packaging, there might be a promotion that's come to an end, it could be a quality assurance issue, or maybe just a printing error on a label. As I said, it's all safe and it's all in date. We work in collaboration with the food industry, providing a solution to them. So, for example, we work with Greggs, whose distribution centre is in Treforest, just a little bit north of where we're based. And they don't use very many preservatives in their bread and their bakery products. So it's got a very short shelf life. So they have surplus on a daily basis. And it can be something as simple as the weather changing. So they've predicted it's going to be a sunny week, so they've made lots of things that will go with a sunny week and the rain comes. And so they've got a lot of surplus in one area. So we go along, pick it up, and we take it straight back out to our community food members on the same day because of the short shelf life in there. But we take all sorts of food. We take ambient food, which is the kind of things you'd have in your kitchen cupboards, things like bread, pasta, rice, tins, juice, tea, coffee, all those sorts of things. We also take chilled food. We've got 2 large industrial-sized fridges, so we can take everything from juice, yogurt, cheese, meat, fish, vegetables, some fruit. And we also have a freezer as well, so we can take frozen food. We then take that food, because we quite often have several pallets of food coming to us, and reorganise it into quantities that the community food members that we work with can handle. And we then deliver it to them. So we work with all sorts of different organisations, everyone from homeless hostels, social housing providers, drug and alcohol rehabilitation centres, women's refuge, a centre that works with refugees and asylum seekers, community cafes, luncheon clubs, and lots of different places. We're currently working with organisations throughout Cardiff, Newport, Rhondda and Taff, Merthyr Tydfil, and Caerphilly County Borough, and Torfaen as well. And we're looking to increase our coverage across those areas, and also the rest of South East Wales, as well as moving hopefully further west at some stage as well. The food is then used by the organisations who provide quality food and meals to the people that they work with and the people that they support, whether they're homeless, whether they're elderly, whether they're disabled, or whether they're just unable to afford enough or the right type of food. And the food allows them to produce those quality meals, a variety of meals. I mean, some of the hostels that we're working with, before we were working with them, were producing the sort of usual chips, beans, an egg, and a bit of sausage. There was a time last year where we supplied them with duck legs. So the people in the homeless hostel were seen to be having duck legs when some VIP came round and they're like, what's going on here? It's like, well, the food's been supplied by FareShare. It was surplus to requirement, and why not? Why shouldn't these people have good quality food? So we do a couple of other things as well. I've already mentioned our fabulous volunteers. And we couldn't do what we do without them. They are key members of our team. They take the deliveries in, they sort the food, they take the food back out again. We really couldn't do what we do without them. And through providing volunteering opportunities, work placements and training, they're often to long-term unemployed people, and sometimes as well, they're the clients of the organisations that we've been working with. So some of our volunteers have come from the homeless hostels, and some of them have also gone on to get work. We've had one gentleman who had anxiety problems and was having real trouble getting himself back into a way of working. He's now gone on and got a job. Shame for us, because we hate to lose everybody because they're lovely, but great for him. Another one that was on probation, had to come out of prison for quite a long time. He's now got a job. And another one who had a long period of ill health, who undertook a forklift instructor's licence with us and is now training our other volunteers in forklift as well. So some great stories from them. We also have corporate volunteers that come along now and again. We've had people from the Department of Work and Pensions and Welsh Government come along and help us sort food when we've got a large amount of sort of mixed food. It helps us do it in a lot quicker time, and they seem to have had a fabulous time getting to know both our volunteers, who are some of them their clients, because they're maybe on job seekers allowance or whatever, and also the work that we do and the difference that we're making to the organisations. Some collaboration and partnership working as well. We work with an organisation called Orchard Cardiff about this time last year. We're linking in with the cider. They take apples from trees that are in parkland or trees that are in people's gardens that they can't pick, or they've just got too much, or perhaps there's an older person that can't pick the apples. And we had about 500 kilograms of apples and pears off them last year, the rest of which, we had the good apples, the slightly bruised ones, they turned into cider and apple juice themselves. Also, Get Out for Cardiff, which is a collaboration between Cardiff Council and the university, where they encourage students to leave reusable items at the end of term, stop it going into landfill, so things like kitchen utensils, but also food, which is then sorted. And again, we've had about 1/2 ton of food this year that would have otherwise ended up going to landfill. We're also part of Food Cardiff, which are working to become a sustainable food city. And we're also talking to Cardiff allotments about taking surplus produce from the allotments, because I'm sure if any of you are growers on a small scale, you know that you get a glut of things like beans at certain times of the year. And finally, we do have our own allotment, which is run by a group of our work placements. They wanted to still be involved in the organisation. At the time when we set up the allotment, we weren't getting much fruit and veg. We're getting a lot more now, but it does supplement the things that we weren't getting. And now as well, we're working with another organisation who are using the site to train people that are long-term employed in growing and gardening, and they're hoping to set up a social enterprise to take that forward as well. So what difference do we make? Well, on a national level, in last financial year, FareShare contributed to more than 12 million meals, with over 1,200 community food members across the UK and helping an average of 62,000 people each day, and also reducing landfill and carbon emissions. From ourselves in South Wales, since we started, we're now up to 30 community food members in South East Wales. We've rescued over 826 tonnes of food, which is enough to contribute to over 2 million meals in that time. We've had over 200 volunteers contributing over 14,500 hours, and over 13 of our volunteers have moved on to paid employment. In the last year, it was something like 340 tonnes of food that we've redistributed, which was enough for over 680,000 meals. But the impact of our work can probably best be described by the words of the people that use our service. So our community food members tell us that the food that we supply them has helped them to work with more people, to provide more food, to make savings on their budgets, and they're then able to reinvest that into the work that they do, be that helping people get off the street or talking to them about ways to get out of poverty. And it also encourages people to come into the centres so that they can get them to access the support that they need as well. They've also told us that FareShare Cymru has helped them to increase the nutritional value and variety of the food that they serve. They've been able to provide cooking courses to young people to give them skills and confidence to be able to cook, help their clients feel valued because of the quality of food that they're providing to them, meet the needs of people and families in their communities, and add value to the service that they provide. So in essence, I guess we're using something that would be surplus to requirements, something that is seen as waste, but we're creating something really good out of that. We're supporting community organisations, we're helping them save money, and we're helping them help the people that they help. And we're also helping the people that volunteer with us to move out of poverty and break that cycle themselves in terms of giving them the experience and moving on to work. Thank you.